Well, I will take you through the SDAC chapter, in which we will focus on the most relevant aspect, providing the main pieces of information, because the content is extensive regarding all the topics. I'm going to divide this talk in the following parts. We will open with the high-level market data and the operational report, in which we will be covering the incidents and the implemented requests for changes during 2019. We will view later the performance monitoring report. We will analyze the results regarding the optimality and repeatability requirements of the algorithm. Then we will follow with the scalability report and the roadmap of requests for changes, and we will close this section with the R&D report. So let's start. Well, regarding the SDAC main features, we have a wide variety of products in order to cover the market participant needs. We also deliver the TSO requirements regarding topology models and other TSO requirements. And we have other requirements coming from the regulation, mainly the CACM, which are the three main requirements of the algorithm: adequate optimality, scalability, and repeatability. This year, 2019, we have had a major release, which is FEMIA 10.3, the first one capable of dealing with the multi-NEMO configurations, and the geographical scope is still split into clouds. We have the MRC and the 4MMC. It's expected that soon these two clouds will merge in a single one. Note that for the time being, we have some MRC members that are operating in isolated mode, and another one is not coupled. So regarding the high-level market of data, as you have seen in the map, we cover most of the European Union. We are still divided. We have 61 bidding zones, 35 TSOs, and 16 NEMOs. The economic dimension has grown to 1,500 terawatt hours of energy, and the welfare managed by the algorithm per day has reached an average of 8.8 billion euros per session. And regarding the clearing price, which declined with respect to 2018, we see that those prices seems to be grouped in three main different areas. We have the southern countries, the continental and northern countries, and the eastern countries, as we can see in this graph. Well, let's go into the operation report. So, following the same classification from 2018, we have classified them following two criteria: severity of the incident and the causes. And we have observed that in 2019, we have had a significant fall compared with 2017. Most of them were not visible to the market participants. Nevertheless, we have had one critical incident in SDAC, which led to partial decoupling. This is the first event in the whole history of SDAC. This occurred on the 7th of June, 2019. It's important to remark that this incident was not caused by the SDAC algorithm or the procedures. They performed as expected. It was an internality issue in one NEMO that propagated into the MCO. Well, 40% of the incidents are not visible to market participants in MRC, and for 4MMC, this rises up to 90%. Regarding the request for changes, we have classified them by type of requirement. The most important is the FEMIA 10.3 and the CW M&A implementation. It should be known that with respect to 2019, we have seen a growing number of requests for changes that are increasing complexity. Nevertheless, we have been able to maintain a high level of reliability of the algorithm performance, as we will see later. For in 2019, no corrective measures were triggered. This is the classification of the incidents for both clouds, MRC and 4MC, and their distribution. You can see the huge reduction since 2017. Regarding the causes, we provide also the classification. Let's provide more information regarding the decoupling incident of the 7th of June. Nevertheless, a full investigation was already published on the 1st of October 2019, and it's available at the NEMO Committee webpage. Well, this was a defect in the trading system of EPEX that enabled an unsupported order to enter in one of the market participants. This led issues at EPEX. This local problem was outside of the control of the NEMOs of TSOs, and in the attempt to avoid the decoupling and minimize the impact on market participants, the agreed procedures were not fully followed. Note that NEMOs always tried, NEMOs and TSOs always collaborate in order to provide a solution that is not decoupled. Nevertheless, the lessons learned were that the incident management procedures are in place and are constantly improved based on operational experience, and it has been remarked that the procedures must be followed, and they will be reviewed in order to improve them. So the training of operators for both NEMOs and TSOs that is mainly focused on decoupling situations across MRC will be improved, and the communication and training for market participants will be also improved, and some scenarios will be prepared in order to be trained for these situations. Well, the full investigation report is available at the NEMO Committee webpage, as I mentioned before. This is the classification of requests for changes. We see this, for the two clouds. This is the graph of the borders that were decoupled during the decoupling incident of the 7th of June. Those are the requests for changes that were implemented for the two clouds. The most important for this 2019 are the system release of the FMIA 10.3, the first one delivering the multi-NEMO capacity to the algorithm, and the M&A implementation in CWE. Well, we will follow now with the performance monitoring report, in which the usage of products continue to show a moderate growth. With respect to 2018, we have observed a 9% increase in average. Nevertheless, there are some exceptions that we'll see later. Despite at the end of 2018, we include two requests for changes that had a big impact in performance. I'm referring to the introduction of Irish market and the Germany-Austria border split. We have been able to improve the performance of the algorithm, and we have been able to absorb this increase in complexity, as we will see in the optimality study of the algorithm. So let's go into the details. Well, it's clear that the complexity of the MRC will respect the number and type of orders, and also the network constraints is several times the for the 4 MMC cloud. This is the same that previous years. Regarding the 2019, we have had an average increase of products of 9%. Regarding the geographical extension, we have observed that the number of bidding zones has been reduced for the 4MMC because there has been a remodeling in Italy because some production posts were suppressed, and the network constraints and specifically the number of PDF that have increased quite a lot, over 132% with respect to 2018, due to the introduction of the Germany-Austria split. Well, regarding the output indicators, we have the 8.7 billion of euros of welfare or utility, and they contribute for the MRC cloud and for the 4 MMC cloud is more modest, which reaches the average of 100 million euros of average per day. It's important to note that cube orders are responsible of the majority of the trade volumes, followed by the merit orders, block orders, and complex orders. We will not comment the tables, unless I have some specific to show. Well, as you can see, for almost all the products, we have a steady growth. The last year it has been 9%. Nevertheless, we should bring your attention regarding the total number of linked families, in which they have been increased 177% with respect to 2018. It's important to raise your attention regarding the different origin on the scales and the scale we use for the graphs. We have done this in pursuit of better visualization of the values. But they shouldn't lead you to wrong conclusions. Regarding the block orders, we see a strong seasonality combined with a long-term steady growth. For the case of complex orders, we see a step due to the introduction of the Irish market that use the complex orders. But after this step, we see that the usage is steady through time. For the case of merit orders, we see a stable behavior with a slight growth. And for the PUN orders, we observed in 2017 that we had a summer rush, but followed with a decline. And at this moment, we are following the same behavior we observe for other kind of orders, which a slight growth seems to be happening. Well, regarding the usage indicators, as you can see, when we introduce new areas, or we do some split of existing areas, the number of training hubs change, and with the introduction of CWMNA, the number of NEMO training hubs increases because we have several NEMOs in the same bidding zones. Here in this graph, regarding for the number of PDF constraints, it's very important to stress that this is a huge change since the introduction of the Germany-Austria split, that as you can observe, the number of PDF constraints that should be handled by the algorithm is huge. And note that as we will include new areas such as the Nordic flow base and also the core flow base, this trend may continue growing. Nothing to comment regarding the 4 MMC cloud because the values are almost the same. Well, as you can see, the increment of the economic surplus with respect to the first OK solution found in an historical batch is quite small. And if we let the algorithm to run even more, we are increasing the time by 10 minutes. It's quite difficult to find improving solutions. Regarding the algorithm repeatability, we have done the test and we are even better than previous year 2018. And for the algorithm scalability, that is the time to first solution observed in the sessions we run in production, it has increased slightly in average for the MRC cloud with respect to 2018, but we saw that there is a slight increase, but we have been able to absorb the big impact of 2 requests for changes that were quite big in 2018, and we have implemented this year the M&A and the CW M&A. Well, those are the graphs. It's very important to focus that the increment of economic surplus with respect to the first OK solution is quite small. Regarding the economic gain after increasing the calculation time by 10 minutes is in most cases negligible. Nevertheless, some outliers exist because a new and most promising solution is found. So those are the points you see. And for the distribution, you can see that more or less we have the same for the same data than the previous year. So we have adequate optimality. Regarding this tail, note that the plus 10 minus calculation is done in a production line machine, and we compare them with the production data, which is used by reference. In the case, the production machine was very quick, and the plus 10 minutes calculation time is not able to find that solution. We will report negative values. Well, this is the distribution of the time to first solution. So as you can observe, we have been able to absorb, and the distribution curves of the 2 years are quite similar. It's important to note that for 2019, we have reduced the time to first solution for the difficult solutions. This is part of the graph. And for this tail, well, we have observed a slight increase, but is still quite below the 4 minutes. Well, let's go for the repeatability indicators. Now that we are close to the 100% of repeatability, note that this repeatability frequency indicator is based on the main values of the results of the algorithm. I mean the results from each order, the price, the net position of the bidding zone. So we are able to achieve 100% of repeatability in most of the sessions. And when we observe the impact, that means the difference in percent value with respect to the reference value we use, we observe that the impact is negligible or non-existing for most of the sessions.